What's going on, guys? Hope you're all having a good day. You can see we're back in the shop today, and I got this nifty little tool at Harbor Freight that's going to make doing a brake fluid flush a lot easier. Figured I'd whip the camera out and make the video for you guys. So I'm gonna get the drift car pulled out and then push the old IS300 in here, and we'll get to work. Alright, so now that we got the car in here, a little bit of a backstory on why I'm actually doing this to my brakes. I know some of you might have probably clicked on here for the brake fluid bleeder, but this might be helpful to you. Basically, long story short, this car keeps seeming to warp brake rotors, and before you jump in the comments and say I'm driving like an idiot, it's not that. The car, when I first got it, came with warped rotors on it. Those were turned. They warped again, which might actually be a coincidence to what's going on. They warped again, put some stop tech rotors on the car, and they seem to also be warped. So there's the stop techs I was talking about. They're slotted. They're pretty sweet. These rotors also seem to be warped, and before I spent the money to just be like, you know what, maybe these brakes are too small. They just can't, for whatever reason, they're not handling heat or something. But I didn't think that was it, so I didn't want to go dropping money on like LS400 brakes, because I thought maybe that would those would warp too for whatever reason, because I just feel like there's something causing my brakes to warp. I was down at NAD Auto. It's a little bit north of Atlanta, for anybody that's wondering. That's where I got the 1JZ, which stay tuned for stuff on that, because this motor is probably shot. So, but there'll be more stuff coming on that in like a week or so. When I was down at NAD, I was talking to one of the dudes down there, and we're just trying to figure out what's going on with my brakes, because it's super strange. And long story short, we're thinking that maybe it's got air in the lines and it's causing like what feels like a warped rotor. And it gets so much worse when you get heat in the brakes, like even a little bit, like 10 or 15 minutes driving in the mountains, and they're like insanely like, you know, shake the whole car. And so that's just not good. You know, obviously I don't just keep pushing my car past that, but it's just really frustrating. So I'm gonna try to put some of this .4 fluid. I believe it has .3 in it right now, because I went through a master cylinder trying to fix the same issue, and that was done at a shop, and I'm assuming they put .3 in it because that's what it says. I got this nifty little tool that will help drain the or flush the fluid, and it's all pneumatic with like an air compressor. And I figured I would show how this thing works, because it's pretty sweet. It's about 30 bucks at Harbor Freight, and we're about to find out if that's worth the money or not. I think it'll be pretty handy, but we're about to find out. So I went ahead and popped the wheels off all the way around the car, just so I can go and have quick, easy access to the bleeder valve. On the IS300, the bleeder valve is right there. You can't really see it, but this thing, you'll be able to see it on your own car. And now it's time to get like a turkey baster or a like a syringe or something, and suck out some of this old fluid out of here. It's got this nice little reservoir thing that it's got all these little attachments, and you put this upside down inside of here. It's got a little nozzle so you can turn it. And then basically how this thing works is you attach this thing to the bleeder valve, hook up your air compressor right here, and then it will drain, it'll create like a suction, and then suck out all the old fluid as it's pulling in new fluid, and put the old fluid into here. And it should just be as simple as draining this bleeder valve until you see nice clear fluid, which is the fresh stuff. The old stuff should be pretty brown and dingy like that. It gets a little bit worse than this. Actually, it gets a lot worse than this. This doesn't look that bad compared to some of the stuff I've seen, but you'll be able to tell nonetheless. Alright, so I got this little turkey baster-esque type syringe here. Basically all I'm going to do is just try to suck up some of this fluid. It's also very important that you have some paper towels on hand to catch any drips or anything like that, because this brake fluid, it is very strong to like paint and stuff like that, so it can eat through it pretty easy. Also, I did remove the little filter that's inside of here, and then we can go in and try to remove as much of this brake fluid, just like that. So as you can see, I've drained a pretty good bit of fluid out of the master. You don't have to go crazy with this, it just makes it a little bit easier when you're pulling fresh fluid through the brake system. Down to here, somewhere in there, that should be good. Now the next step with this little Harbor Freight kit is it comes with this little bag of different size adapters. Basically what you do with this is you take the one that best fits your car and you screw it on to here. That way it'll fit down in the master cylinder a little bit like the filter, and this can sit in there and put the fresh fluid in your master. This thing just goes right in here like this. You just push it down, it stays. Before I fill this up and put it back in here, I'm just gonna manually fill the master back up. So right after the clip you guys just watched, I tried to go do this passenger side rear with the Harbor Freight thing, and actually was having a little bit of issues with it and couldn't figure out. At first I thought it was my caliper just having a ton of air in it, but I don't think it was. I think just the Harbor Freight tool somewhere was having a leak, and I didn't want to put the time in to try to figure out where that leak was. I said, screw it, I'm just gonna do this thing the old-fashioned way. So had my dad come out and pump the pedal while I released it, and ended up just doing that on the rest of the car. To be honest, I'm not really super impressed with the Harbor Freight gun. I'm sure maybe it's one of those things where you can have different outcomes with different versions of it, different experiences, but my experience with it was, I don't know, I might could have got it to work better if probably looked around where the leak was and tried to figure out why it wasn't sucking good. I don't know, I had people tell me they work good, so I'm sure they did for them, but for me, it's kind of, you know, not so good. So take that for what it's worth. And I think that'll probably do it for this video. We're gonna see how this new .4 fluid, it looks a little bit colored just because you can't fully get all the old fluid out of here, so it kind of colors the new fluid a little bit. All the stuff coming out of the bleeders was a lot clearer and better looking than what was originally coming out, so I know we're good fluid on all of them, no air bubbles, anything like that. So hopefully this fluid does the trick. If you want to see more videos, make sure you go hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, if it was helpful in any way, drop a like on this video, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out.